Howdy y'all, welcome back to the channel. My name is Andrew. Today we're going to be taking a look at Forza Motorsport on the 4070 Ti, so let's not waste any time and get right into it. Hopefully this game works well. I've heard some interesting things about the PC port here. I actually hope we do see some technical issues because that always makes things more exciting. Okay, let's take a look at our settings here. We're going to start off at 1080 Ultra. Well, I've heard that the graphics settings are kind of weird in this game, so we'll take a look and find out what everything means. DLSS off, that's fine. Let's go to advanced. Okay, this is where stuff is kind of weird. We're gonna go through and just make sure everything is at the highest settings, and I believe it is. I'm gonna leave motion blur on in this game because I think that should be nice in a racing game. So 1080 ultra settings, let's just run the benchmark and see what happens. I think it's a pretty short benchmark. This doesn't seem that good. Only 60 frames per second? Okay. I wonder, you know, that might be quite a heavy benchmark. So let's just get into a race. Oh, hey, yeah, let's use this car. Nürburgring, okay, this should be fun. So let's see if the benchmark maybe is just like over exaggerating the performance. Man, what the heck? Okay. Some strange behavior here already. It looks quite good, but in the 60s, 50s at 1080p, this doesn't seem this doesn't exactly seem great performance. Seem like great performance to me. Hey guys. 70s now. It is a nice and smooth 70. Can definitely play like this. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the frame pacing so far. And it looks pretty good. I just wonder, it seems like this is quite low performance. Okay, boy. No. So yeah, 60s and 70s. It's very smooth. This is like ultra settings, so this is ray tracing and all that. I don't know the actual in-race ray tracing, how big of an effect that is, but we'll definitely take a look. We're not doing too bad in this race, so that's nice. I wonder if the drivers are set to easy or something. This is also quite a nice car to drive here. So 60s, 70s, we're in the mid 70s now. Can we adjust? Oh, you know what? One thing I heard is that you've got to restart the game whenever you mess with settings. I bet that's what's happening to us right now. I bet we're getting dragged because we didn't restart once I even did something as basic as change the resolution. So I hate to quit while I was racing such a good race, but let us restart the game. This game does have some weird glitchiness, I gotta say. Oh my god. This game does have some weird glitchiness, I gotta say. Okay, we're back in the game. 1080p. I've set all the settings to ultra at 1080. No DLSS. So let's run the benchmark again real quick and just see if we are getting better frame rates after I restarted the game. We got like around 60, 65 last time in the benchmark. So I want to see if we're gonna see something a little bit better. Yeah. Oh wait, no? Maybe not. So yeah, maybe that was not the case at all. So yeah, maybe restarting for just resolution was not a big deal. In that case, why don't we enable some DLSS? And let's run the benchmark one more time with DLSS on and just see if that actually applies. I've also heard that DLSS and any upscaling is kind of bugged in this game, where it doesn't even give you a great increase in your frame rate. But we'll run this first. If we don't see anything, Or if we do see anything. Yeah, we don't see much at all. Like a 2 or 3 FPS improvement. Yeah, hardly any improvement whatsoever with DLSS quality. Let's restart the game real quick and run that again and just see what happens. So it is possible that after we set DLSS to quality and restarted the game, that the settings will actually take. I kind of doubt it because I've seen that other people say DLSS and FSR potentially also are bugged. And that they just don't work. They don't work right or they don't work well. Whatever the case may be. So let's just check to see. Yep, DLSS quality's on. Let's run the benchmark one more time and see if restarting the game with DLSS makes any kind of impact. I kind of doubt it, but let's see. And no, it certainly doesn't look like it. So yeah, as we can see here, maybe just like 2 or 3 FPS difference with DLSS on. That is broken. So let's get into a race here, and we'll just see if we can adjust any settings on the fly, if it makes any difference. It appeared that I could change DLSS and resolution and not have to restart, it appeared. So let's see if we can do that while we're in the race and see how that affects our settings. So we're starting off at 1080p. We already looked at 1080. We already looked at 1080 with no DLSS. And it looks like we're getting a couple extra frames here. And we've got a little bit different weather conditions. The benchmark does appear to be quite like a heavy benchmark. Oh my goodness. Jeez, no. So in the actual game, we're getting like quite a bit better frame rates. Oh my god, get out of this traffic. And this fog looks kind of nice. It looks kind of cool. Jeez Louise, boys. So yeah, we're getting closer up to 75 to 80 FPS in this situation. Man, what are they doing? So yeah, 75, 80. Let's see real quick if we get any kind of boost from going to DLSS balanced. I actually think that did boost our, I think that had an effect. What are these guys? These guys are so slow. I think that had a little bit of an effect, a couple frames per second. But that seems to be it for these options. It seems to just be a couple of frames per second when you enable DLSS. That seems to be all it is. Now, as far as the way the game looks, I think it looks quite good. Like, this looks really nice. Like, the cars look good. I heard some complaints about the graphics in the game, but I think it looks really nice. Are the AI drivers like really easy or what? Okay. So let's get into a different kind of scenario and race, because we blew away those other drivers and I want to see more cars, other cars on the screen. Let's just stick at our ultra settings and just see how high we can take it. Maybe when we get to a place where our frame rate gets too low, we'll start to dial back our settings from ultra. Like, and that might be at 1440. That could very well be at 1440. So let's see. This is 1440 native. Everything cranked. Everything cranked up. And it appears, well, in the lower right, when it gives our estimated VRAM usage, it's showing 5.6 gigabytes. But in the upper left, that is actually reporting the true numbers. I'm over 10 with over 11 reserved. So that's interesting. Let's try a little bit of a nicer car here. A little bit of a crazier car. And I I'm liking these random kind of races because we get a little bit of everything. I know the performance is going to vary, but I kind of like that. And so at native 1440, we're not even getting very much worse frame rate. So I'm just confused. Oh, let's see our... Oh, okay. These guys are like not very good. Okay. So let's turn them up to 3. That's why I was blowing them away. So at 1440, native, no DLSS, we're getting into the race and we only dropped into like the 60s. Hello. Yeah, 60s. Oh! Wow. And this is also pretty playable, I've got to say. Only dropping into the 60s. And this is like the ultra... Ooh, hello. And this is like the most ultra settings you can go, I believe. It seems like there's just weirdness. Whoa, hello. There's weirdness with the resolution scaling. And something is broken. Because at 1080p with DLSS, we should be getting way more frames than we're getting. Like I don't know if it even works at all. So we're averaging like in the high 60s. Let's see if DLSS makes any difference whatsoever. And like maybe a couple of frames. So yeah, maybe a couple of frames per second going to DLSS quality. Something is broken there. But overall... Oh my goodness. Aside from some things being broken, the game performs well. And I apologize for repeating myself, but it's hard to do this wall race. So let's see, how about if we go down to balanced? Will we gain anything from this? So yeah, in DLSS balanced, I can't even tell if we were gaining anything. And I mean, yeah, it's just like, it's just kind of a weird situation. So let's get out of this race. And let's go up to 4K and see what happens. And now we definitely took a dip in the menus. So let's take a look at what happens in this benchmark with ultra every setting at 4K native resolution. I have a feeling we're gonna maybe bite the dust on this one. But let's see. Yeah, we're in the 20s. I think we're hitting a I think we're hitting the extent of our 12 gigabytes of memory on this one. We're definitely, we hit a couple stutters there. So let's see if this does anything. Even at 4K, let's see if this does anything. And this would be the place where it does something. Would be at 4K, so let's see. DLSS quality 4K. Yeah, a frame? 1 or 2 frames? Like literally? Maybe? Yeah, maybe a couple frames. A couple frames per second. A couple frames per second with DLSS. And weird, now we've got some weird flashing on the screen. So before we jump into a race, let's just turn off DLSS. So we're at 4K, no DLSS. Let's see how this works in the non-benchmark scenario, which seems to be perform a little bit better. That seems to be a pretty heavy benchmark. And yeah, we've pretty much got a 30 FPS experience here in this race. 30, 35. A lot of cars on screen. Yeah, you want to, I feel like racing games, you really want a higher FPS experience than this. Although it's like fairly smooth, but yeah, you definitely want a higher FPS experience. Now I felt like at 1080p and 1440p, it was playable. It was absolutely playable on the 4070 Ti at ultra settings, 1080p, 1440p, ultra settings, ray tracing, all the whole shebang. I thought that was playable. And so the next, this is not really playable. I mean, this is playable, but it's not a great experience. You can do better. You can have a better time with it if you lower some settings at 4K. So I tell you what, let's quit out of here. I love that Mustang, by the way. Absolutely love it. Let's just see how this goes. Let's just turn this on. Quality DLSS at 4K. Let's turn off our ray tracing. And let's restart the game. And let's see where we stand. All right, I had to get my stretches in. Make sure if you're playing games, get up and stretch. It's important. All right, so immediately I noticed that our frame rate went way up right when we entered the menu. So let's see what we've got going here. We're at 4K, DLSS quality, and everything on Ultra except for ray tracing is off. And that also, when this is off, this is also off. The ambient occlusion, ray trace ambient occlusion is also turned off, regardless of whether it says Ultra or not. So let's get into another race. So this is 4K DLSS quality, no ray tracing. And already, like, we've got more than twice the frame rate. And this looks like it's going to be a good experience. As I crash into cars. Yeah, over 80 frames per second. And it looks quite good. Like, do you even need the ray tracing? That's the question, right? That's always one of the questions. Certainly not at 4K. Over 80 FPS. This is great. This is sharp. It looks awesome. It's running smooth. Our 1% or our 1% lows and our 0.2% lows are both over 60. So it just seems to be inconsistent about whether like settings take or not. It's very confusing. So like, what if we go back down to 1440? What will happen here? And this is DLSS quality, so let's just keep it there. So this is 1440p, no ray tracing. Oh my god, get out of my way. Yeah, and we're up over 110. So this is nice. This is really nice at 1440p. Couple of frame spikes. But overall, a very nice experience as I play bumper cars with everyone. So yeah, over 100 FPS, easy. Very nice. As my twin here, racing my twin. Let's pass him. So I guess where we have to go from here is let's go back down to 1080p. No ray tracing. And this should perform way better. marginal. With DLSS quality at 1080p, this starts to look a little bit blurry to me. Let's see if we turn this off, what the heck happens? Is it gonna make any difference? Do I need to restart the game in order for that to take effect? I don't know. So yeah, this is 1080p native, no DLSS, ultra settings, no ray tracing. And this is a good experience. And I believe the DLSS is off now. I don't know. Yeah. And you know, between 100 and we're up over 130 now, so that's good. Let's go and set let's set everything to the settings that I would kind of normally play at, that I was using before. So that would be 1440p. I actually was using DLAA because there's such a little performance difference on all of these different settings. And I think the DLAA looks good. If it's even working, because sometimes it's hard to even tell because there's such a minuscule difference. And let's do full reflections and ray tracing and ultra settings on everything. So 1440 Ultra RT with DLAA. And let's restart the game and come back and we'll run a race. And it crashed. Love when the game crashes. That's the first crash we got. Other than the buggy settings. So let's see if we crash again this time. No crash? Maybe? So yeah, let's jump into a race. Just to recap, this is 1440p, ray tracing ultra, everything on ultra settings, and DLAA, and 60. Maybe not amazing, but it looks really good. It looks really good, and we are over 60 frames per second. Now I think you probably want more out of it, out of a racing game, but it just feels very smooth, so it's not too bad. And I think this probably beats a console experience. Let's get back to where we can have some cars here. That was on purpose, by the way. I just want to see some cars near us. So one last thing I want to test out. I want to see what happens when I overclock. I do have an overclocking video coming out for the 4070 Ti, the Aorus Elite. It's a pretty good overclocker. And here are going to be my overclocking settings. Let's apply these. Hopefully the game won't crash. And let's just see if we get a little bit of a boost here. And yeah. It looks like we got a pretty substantial boost by overclocking this. Man, maybe, and one thing I've discovered with overclocking this GPU is with ray tracing, it gets a substantially bigger boost than just to rasterize performance. Let's just ride alongside this guy. Yeah, so now we're solidly above 70, whereas we were above 60 before. Very nice. That was a nice boost to performance. Yeah, and I think that's going to be about it for this one. Okay, so what did we learn from all that? Well, it looks like some of the settings in Forza are broken. Probably the DLSS stuff it looks pretty broken. It's hard to tell when things apply or don't apply and when you need to restart the game. That's not too great. We also learned that you can get decent frame rates with RT at ultra settings at 1080p and 1440p on the 4070 Ti. Moving up to 4K, just disable RT and you should be good to go. We got over 80 frames per second there. Also, we learned on the 4070 Ti, if you have a good overclocker as far as that card goes, I got about 10% higher frame rates with RT enabled at ultra settings at 1440p, and that's a great boost, and that's free performance. So if you've got it, take it. I'm gonna have a guide coming out soon on the 4070 Ti and how to overclock it, so that should be coming along shortly. And anyway, I think that's about it. So thanks for joining me. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.